Okay, you guys see the text? You see it right now.
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna just keep it simple as it's gonna, as per our point of view in cockpit. So basically, as we approach, for that example being the range 10, prior entering the airspace, as per SOP, we have to check in with whoever runs that airspace. So, for example, being a JTAC, we check in with him, check comms, he authenticates us, and basically gives us instructions on how to hold, where to hold, what's imminent threat if we have any. Like, for example, flying into an area where small arms fires are only expected, he wouldn't give anything. But if there is an SA-8, that's imminent threat. So in the routing, he will have to go for safety of flight and say about it, say how to avoid, or what's his plan to bring us into the airspace and work with that threat in it. Then we go for check-in. So that's what we actually give the JTAC, so he will have an idea on what to work on with us. So what we have, what we are, what airframes, what ordnance, what playtime, what sensors capabilities, and etc. So check-in, as it's named, we just check in with him, say what we are and what we have. Then what we receive from the JTAG is situation updates. So he brings us into a situational awareness, what is happening in the area of operation. It's also called AO update. So what he gives us is
one question here.
Yep. Go ahead.
I'm looking at also at the same time my the thing I close air support paper, you know, that's the documents with the situation update also on a board code.
Yep.
And stuff like that. I remember when a couple of times that when they give the situation update, they don't give it in the lines that this paper or PDF shows. They just give it like in different kinds of ways, correct? Or are they to give us the threats, target, friendlies, artillery, clearance authority in that, just like the 9 line, which comes later?
Yeah. Okay. So there's different ways, and I'm looking at who I'm working with, and if I know that I'm working with guys who are not very fluent or not new to this, then I give them everything. Hey, I'm saying, hey, Tommy Gun 2-1 for threats. You have smaller fires, RPGs, and shit, and I name every line of it. And for Europe, basically, because Europe is not US, we are multinational environment, so we're supposed to name 9 line by line. So we call out line 1 is IPX, line 2 240, and all that. So that's how it works, basically.
And I appreciate it.
US stuff. Yeah, I understand that.
I have a possibility to hear that on the radio, and it is a big help for us.
Got it. Yeah, we're gonna basically stick to that rule.
Sorry for the interruption.
No worries. Yeah, it usually is because it comes from the US, and no wonder that it is, basically. But it's really like individually dependent. Last time I worked with Czech guys, they were so fluent that we didn't bother pushing lines. The other time,
last time was what time? About a month ago.
About Ample Strike.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, I thought so. All right,
but not as a Mi-35 pilot, but as the second or first officer on a Mi-171.
Yeah.
So I will probably take you to the place.
Cool. Yeah, it is. All right, I'm gonna go back to a situation update. So, that's where we get updated about threats, what targets we're gonna engage, what is the commander's intent on the ground, what he wants to achieve with support of close air support. Because we're not the main force to fight, we're supposed to help out, support somebody. So that's where the intent is given. Then it's all briefed about artillery if it's in the area, what are the values and data for artillery. Then the next brief you receive would be about the JTAC's basically who gives you a clearance, then what are his capabilities, what he can support you with, whether he has an IR pointer for night ops or a laser to laze off like a laser Hellfire or Maverick or GPUs. So that's all given in the situation updates. You know what environment you will work in. Then after the situation update is done and everyone is on the same page pretty much, we're going for a basically not always the game plan, but definitely for task and purpose. So for example, you're checking in for armed overwatch for a convoy, and then JTAC is supposed to give you a task and purpose. So it would be like, hey, Dragon Lead, I want your flight to establish an offensive sensor on friendly position. We'll move to the southwest break. And I want 2 of your ships move ahead, 1 kilometer scout ahead, and 2 of you remain in the offset overhead convoy to provide armed overwatch. That would be task and purpose. And then when things start rolling, there's a game plan, and he says like, hey, Dragon Lead, Dragon 2-1, I request type 2 control, bomb on target, request rockets for suppression. And then he goes with the 9 line immediately, like line 1, 2, and 3 from the overhead, and all that follows. So we're through the line 5. And it's just not just the lines that are in the 9 line. I mean, it's all important data, starting lines 1 to 3 for geometry, line 4 for weapon employment and your awareness, how you're going to fly in the target area, because sometimes it's way higher than you actually are holding in. And then there's a target description that should be brief and concise, like telling you that you're engaging a 2-story building with insurgents on the top floor and entrenched position in the basement. So it gives you an idea how you want to solve the ordnance solution on that. And then there's line 6 to give you a nice location of the target, and it followed by marking. If there is any, then he'll tell you how he's gonna mark. Then it's a line 8 that's very important, because when you're approaching the target and you have line 8 that is concise, friendlies west 800 meters, that you know if you're ingressing from the south, you see the target, you know that all friendlies are right about kilometer, I mean 800 meters. But things get heavy when you hear that, I don't know, west 50 meters, then you need to be precise and pick the cone to engage. Don't have any ricochets going friendly ways. So that's line 8. And then line 9 for helicopters, I usually go pull left for egress and pull right for egress, so it's very concise and readable. And my instructions are 3-dimensional. I give them like, on the egress, pull left in your hold block for altitude, then push south for return and re-establish battle position. So he knows clearly what he's gonna do in the effect of the 9th line. So that's the CAS brief. Now we have the remarks and restrictions, and that's what actually is building up more situational awareness and more like building up the ingress solution. Because, like for an example, having lines 1, 2, and 3 from the overhead, basically you're orbiting over the target. And when you have friendlies to the south of that, like 300 meters, you want to build up the geometry by giving a nice restricted attack heading cone. So when you give them like, okay, final attack heading is 270 plus minus 20 degrees, then it's like, you know, it's basically restricted down to a magnetic heading, not direction. Because if he gives you a direction, it's 90 degrees that you can fit in, and it's not very safe for friendlies being close south 300. And yeah, so the restrictions are building up the geometry, but also are saying that for example, during the attack, you will need to stay below 500 feet to avoid horde of artillery that will suppress the target northeast of your engagement area. And all that happens in the restrictions portion. There is also a remarks are with the restrictions, and they follow with less important but also valid data like laser target line or pointer target line. For example, if you're flying in as night and JTAC will give you line 7 in the 9 line, he's saying that, oh, Hitman 01 IR pointer. Okay, that means that JTAC himself will point the target with the IR pointer, and he'll give you the pointer target line like 090, so you know that you can expect, approaching from the south, you can expect that he'll be lasing off from the west to the east, and he'll be at the western end of the beam. So that gives you an idea how it's going to be solved. And then there's the readbacks, and it's all dependent on us. If we copied the exact data they transmitted, and then we read back lines 4, 6, 8 from 9 line and all restrictions, and then all what JTAC wants you to read back. For example, if he wants you to read back the pointer target line remark, you have to read back. Then we go for, I mean, at this point, we're pretty much done with brief. I mean, so we're up to date with the situation where we have the 9 line, we have the restrictions all read back and good. So we're good to go with the correlation of a target. So the JTAC will now paint, I mean, he'll point for you where the target actually is in the terrain and the real time in how it's located. There are a couple of ways we're gonna stick to a TOCON, and TOCON is basically relying on you knowing from the line 6 where the target area is, so you have to look into the target area or slew your sensor to the target location, and then he'll give you a nice description of a what target is. For example, being like in the target area you'll have a village oriented that is extending along the road oriented southwest and northeast, and the target will be next to a church in the center of a village on the southern side of the road. And from the description, you know that the south of the road, you should expect a column of 4 vehicles being like BMP-1s. And then you know where to look, and you see, yeah, contact 4 vehicles. And he says just, hey, confirm what is the orientation of the vehicles. And you say like, they're all pointing south. Okay, these are your target, called tally or captured. Okay, I'm captured target. And we're good with correlation, we can go for attack. Because we have all the documents done, all the doctrine and procedure is done. We have acquired the target, then we can go for strafe. And then there's a point 10, which means assess effects. So JTAC is looking at the target, he sees like, all right, I see that he killed 3 of those BMPs.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
First, I think there's a delay in my voice because, yeah. Anyways, after the readback and you say that we go for correlation, who is the one that starts the correlation? Is that the JTAC say, call me when you see the target, or do I call in and say, I have the target, and then describe them?
Well, usually it's depending on the proficiency of both JTAC and the air crew, and then it depends on the situation also. Because sometimes we are like working. Last time I had a scenario when I was working with F-16s killing the SA-8s, so I wanted my Mi-24s to stay out, like, I don't know, it was 10 kilometers outside the area of operation, so he had no opportunity to look into the target area. So I have to bring him, okay, like I told him that we're cleared off the airspace, you're free to enter, push, like Bravo 1 for correlation, call contact target area when you spot it. So that was like that way I worked. So he was like pulling in, and he was close enough to see the objective. He said, okay, I'm contact target area, and then we're good to roll with the correlation further down. But if you have like, you're orbiting around the target, you see all the things, you have all the 9 line and the restrictions, and you have it read it back, there's nothing to preclude you from saying, okay, I'm contact target area, and I see those 4 vehicles pointing south. and JTAG is okay. Just confirm like what type of the vehicle, and you say like if you can BMP1. Okay, these are your target. Call tally, and you're free to engage with the restrictions. Call in whatever direction, and whatever happens. Yeah, but basically it's dependent on the proficiency. Okay, and then we're back to a assessment of the effects, and that's the point where JTAG is looking at the effects and he compares it to commander's intent. And if commander's intent was like, hey, I want you to neutralize at least 50% of enemy armor in the village with the CAS, and you're looking at out of the 4 BMPs, there are 3 taken out, the mission is successful, you can call successful BDA, and then JTAG is at the minimum saying that this run or this mission or this attack was successful. Stand by in the next 9 line and continue Overwatch, like something that just never leaves the aircraft without task and purpose. The task and purpose is paramount to facilitate the engagements. Because if you, like today I had a trainee, he left the aircraft with like 30 minutes doing nothing. He just was coordinating artillery and rotary wings, while during that time, he could have 2 F-16s looking around, scanning for targets, giving him grids, locations, and etc. So that's the thing, to keep the aircraft busy all the time, not to waste the fuel, just not make noise out of the fuel, and just go for any effect you can get. Okay, so we're through the BDA, and then we're done with the AO, we're safe, situation solved, or I don't know, low fuel remaining. Then there's a routing safety of flight, but now, as I wrote it here, now it's out of the airspace controlled area. So JTAG is routing you back out of his airspace that he controls to a higher authority, like example being the Wizard for this for the southern ranges, or AWACS, or control, like the control is on 127.1 for our scenario today. So he will route you to somebody who can direct you back to your home, and that's basically the end of the scenario. So if you do have any questions by now, I mean, that's a lot, but I've been trying to have it like as brief as I could.
It is pretty logical when you see it. It's just when you're in the air and flying everything, then it's get complicated. I'm sorry if I'm talking over you guys, because I think I have a very big delay in my TeamSpeak. Am I the only one experiencing very much?
Yeah, it might a little maybe.
Donkey is cutting out, or is Junior cutting out? Okay, I should restart then, right?
Sure, if it breaks down, then if you could host it, then it will be perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna run briefly through what happens and where it happens. So to the right, you have like an airfield crossed out, and then to the left there is the large rectangle. I mean the square is the airspace control area, the airspace that JTAG is controlling, and then 2 boxes inside are the battle positions or IPs, and then the cross inside is a target. So just to give you a brief idea what happens, I'm just gonna quickly draw things. So we're departing from our airdrome and heading towards the area of operation. And as we head to the area of operation, we're just calling for the whatever authority is controlling the area of operation. I mean the airspace controlled area, maybe. Let's call it the range 10. This one, the big square. So Dragonflight is checking with the Hitman, so it's Hitman Dragon 2-1 4 by K50 is approaching AO from the east below 1,000 feet, AGL, and requesting routing. We can request routing, or it will just happen by default, no worries. Then the hitman is authenticating, so Dragon21 authenticate Lima Mike by Ramrod. Dragon uniform. Okay, you are approved to enter airspace range 10 below 1,000 feet. Push northern battle position. Report when established. Copy. Call ready check-in. Ready check-in. Okay, mission number is 123 4 by K50s. Currently approaching battle position north from the east, 5 kilometers out. On board, every K50 is carrying 12 by Vickers and 40 by S8 rockets with high explosive warhead. We're at 40 minutes playtime and targeting pod capable Shkval type, map on board, and abort is in the clear. Hetman, copy all, call ready situation update. Dragon. Okay, for threats, you will have small arms fires, possible manpads up to SA-7, and heavy machine guns. For the targets, we'll be targeting enemy infantry in a built-up area. Enemy is fortified in a village. Commander's intent is to knock out enemy fortified positions at the entrance to the village to provide safety for assaulting troops. Friendlies are east of the village, 2 kilometers in assembly area, preparing for assault within the next hour. Artillery is called. We have at our location 4x 60 Mike mortar to support our maneuver, and will provide marking with white smoke. Expect 270 plus or minus magnetic gun target line and max odds below 3,000 feet. I will deconflict you with the headings. Clearance will come from Hitman 01. Ordnance for first run requested is suppression effect with S8s, followed by gun. JTAC has a tracer rounds on my vehicle, and I'm collocated with the ground maneuvering force. Confirm copy, situation update. Dragon copy, and be advised we're established in battle position north. Copy, call ready game plan alpha. Ready. Okay, this will be a type 2 bomb on target, rockets followed by gun. Line 1 is battle position north, 200 heading 5 kilometers. Elevation 360 feet. Northing 123, easting 456. Marked by white smoke. Friendlies to the east 2 kilometers will be dynamic as we approach west. Egress left hand pull, then proceed east and return battle position north below 1,000 feet. Readback 4681 enable. Copy Dragon 21 readback 360 feet, northing 123, easting 456, and friendlies east 2 kilometer dynamic. Good readbacks. Restrictions are final attack heading 180 through 220. Copy final attack heading 180 through 220. Good readbacks. You are approved to leave battle position for correlation and call contact target area village oriented north-south along the road as you approach. Dragon 21 is contact target area through sensors. Copy on the southern edge of the road, on the eastern edge of the village you have 2 square-shaped buildings with 2 chimneys on top each. Call contact. Dragon 21 contact. Confirm orientation of the buildings. Both buildings oriented north-south. These will be your first 2 targets. Request suppression effects on those 2 positions. Copy and capture target. And Hitman is requesting ordnance solution. Copy. Dragon 2-wall will go shooter cover for first pair, and then shooter cover for the second pair. And each body lead will shoot the volley, and then the dash 2 will prosecute with a gun. Good, approved. Push in immediate, call in with heading. Dragonflight is in heading 190. Dragonflight, you're clear hot. And then guns. Attack happens. JTAC is looking at a good suppression. Okay, Dragon 2-1, be advised, we're now moving towards the village. Good effects. And this mission is successful. Continue over friendlies for Overwatch, stand by new targets. That's pretty much how it will go. And we're entering the village, the battle is done. Okay, Dragon 2-1, no more tasking. Push through battle position north, then continue east. Report control on 127.1. Thank you for support. Dragon 2-1 will kill, pushing 127.1 as we egress. Dragon 2-1. Pretty much that would be how it works.
Easy peasy. It's pretty logical when you hear it and see it now. That when the action is and everyone's talking fast, that's when it gets complicated for me actually.
Yeah, the thing is that it's in order of 12 points CAS flow, not just, that's for a reason, to keep everyone focused on what is happening and you know where you are in the procedure. The only thing that changes that flow is the trips and contacts situation, where you go when you're omitting the routing safety check-in situation update, you just go straight in for CAS brief with the game plan, and then quick remarks restriction, just go for correlation, and then engagement. Because no one lets you to engage without any 9 lines, because that's when things get messed up and fratricide happens. I mean, there are ways when you can just push quick preemptive 9 line, but that's off today's scenario. Just that's for some later.
How are we gonna train it? I'm sorry. How are we gonna train it? Are we gonna do several briefs for each, or how do you want to do it here?
Yeah, I think that actually whoever's in tactical lead, he will be doing the 9 line. Then he should. I mean, I'm still kind of figuring out how it's gonna work for K50 to be the best solution, but what I would do is have everyone basically proactive. If you hear that there is a 9 line transmitted, you write it down, quickly punch in the line 6 so you know where the target is, then you transmit it through the data, you save it through the data link, and then you just quickly slew your sensors on it with that ingress button, and then you know you're on the same page as your lead is. If you're listening to what happens between the lead and the JTAC, basically you don't have to do as much as your lead doing is, but you can rely on some cover. I mean, you can just watch out for him if there is anything. If you're holding in dangerous area, then basically you would be more focused on the cover and he'll be more focused on the procedure, but that doesn't preclude you from punching that line 6 into the system, because to all the wingmen, what actually matters at the most is the target location, because when you know that, you're gonna adjust to your lead's hits. You're gonna see how he maneuvers, or he'll just give you an instruction where to shoot, where to aim, or he'll just push you with his data link if he has more than you do. But that's just common sense. To me, what I would like from all of you is just to have that line 6 noted and be aware of what will be the restrictions to build up a proper headings, because today we're just gonna practice with 4 helicopters. Maybe we're gonna split it in 2 flights later, so everyone will every pair will have different cone for attack heading. That will be like later, an advanced portion. But for the basics, just have those things, have the awareness of how we're gonna engage. If you have none, or you're not sure of something, just ask the lead, or lead should do the explanation. So for the first one, maybe I can do a quick 9-line with myself and have the tactical lead for the first one, and then have 1 or 2 of you, if there's enough time, to run through the 9-line or the CAS procedure himself if you want. Okay,
so we're gonna go in like for
yeah. So
from one battle position and attack and change.
What I would like to do after takeoff, before takeoff, I'll have 2 battle positions marked on my and sent out to you through data link, and 1 target location, being those strafe targets. And we'll just focus on that one. Everyone knows it, where it is, and how it looks like. We're gonna take off, proceed to the range, check in with the simulated JTAC. I'll do the procedure from his point of view. I'll give us a routing and place to hold, then I'll give the full 9-line brief on the comms so you can hear it and try noting the things that you're interested in and you want to have them on your page. Then I'll just go through the 9-line remarks restriction portion and readbacks, and then before correlation, or correlation altogether, and then after I'm correlated as a lead, I'll make sure that you are up to date how we're gonna solve the attack. So that's where we're gonna go with the tactical considerations for the target, and then we're gonna proceed with the attack. Then I'm gonna I'm gonna go for a quick BTA with successful mission, because that's a training one. We're gonna reroute to the battle position, and at one of those battle positions, I will give new routing. Or I can receive new check-in and then route you down to a other battle position, whereof the other one of you will work. Does it suit you?
Super duper. I'm excited.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we're gonna have a simple targets. There are two circles, two straight targets just next to each other, and I can just give you one location and say, hey, that's the target set made of 2-point targets. The first 2 K50s are going for the northern one, the other 2 are going for the southern one, and that's simple as that. But if we have more locations, like there is one target set here, the other target set is there, then I would have spent some more time and figure out, okay, for first pair or first 2 K50s, I'm gonna go this target set, -1 will take northern, -2 will take southern. Okay, so I'm transmitting the target, the DPI actually, desired point of impact, number 2 to my wingman, -2, and he has it as his DPI. Then I take the other target set, for example, being like, I don't know, tanks 500 meters south of my target, and I have like 2 more DPIs in there. So I transmit the third DPI, naming it to -3, and fourth DPI to -4. So they have targets assigned. So I have pretty much 4 targets I can handle with for DPIs I can help them with, and you just receive one, and you engage them, and when it's successful, you just clear it off. Yeah. Okay, so I switched the point of view when I joined you, so I'm fresh to flying and doing CAS, and I'm writing everything down because I do it the same way in my work. But from what I know, when people fly with me, they write everything down anyway, and at least being the line 4, 6, and 8 if they are sure enough to understand the other lines. But 4, 6, 8 is mandatory as well as restrictions, so you have to have it for readback's sake and then for after action review. As you saw the rifles after action review, he's writing everything down and then he sums up in his after action review. That's the way it's done actually. Exactly. When it comes to the system readback, like I expect the K50 because I know the platform. I know that pilot must punch it in and translate it from the PVI to ABRIS, and it takes time. So you're punching in. I'm giving you time, and also when you're noting, I'm transmitting my data with such tempo to fit your possibilities flying the K50. I know we can set up a trim and then write down things, still having awareness how we fly. But some aircrew would I would get like I have the turbo engine auto leak in Poland, and they fly like that's crazy little Messerschmitt they fly, and I'm giving them time to know things. I'm breaking up, portioning all the data I'm giving just for sake of the not having any say against, because that means I was like ineffective in my transmission. Okay, so through the yeah. Okay, so all things differ. I mean, there's the maneuver starts for combat attack helicopters. From the aerodrome or FARP, they go for assembly area where they form up and then they push along the routes to the holding areas. And assembly area is safe, and you can transmit in that region, I mean that area, with no worries that you will be engaged. But the holding areas are close to engagement zones. You still have to be safe from enemy fires, own fires, and all that in holding area. And that's the place where I want to hold my rotary wings, so I can give them all the briefs and then just let them go into the battle position where they are the contact with the enemy is imminent and they are exposed in the battle position just for correlation and attack. And then once they attack, I'm just pulling them out of the battle position, not to expose them anymore, and fight for survivability of the other crews, and just to introduce them to another day of fighting. that's the way I'm doing this, just to preserve the air crews and airframes.